Now, the Horsemanship Shirt neck collar is slightly different than anything else you've ever done, and it seems to be causing a few problems with people. So we are going to go through that. One of the things that people find confusing, maybe, is the fact that we work inside out. And that is because we want the top stitching at the very last stage to be on the outside of the garment rather than the inside. In all the classes I was taught, and classes I taught, and with the different patterns, you will be asked to start on the outside, roll the collar to the inside, turn it under, and either hand stitch or top stitch. And that may or may not give you a good finish on the outside. This gives you a good finish on the outside. There are marks that tell you the shoulder seams and the center front. If you put those marks together, or even if you take the center front, you will see that one edge is longer than the other. So one of the things I do after I did the interfacing on is I will go ahead and mark this. It's just a pencil mark, but it is an arrow. That tells me that's the part that's going to wrap around to the right hand side of my neck, across my right shoulder, and across the right hand zipper. That has helped me tremendously, because now I know that because when you have, the two halves, you have two collar stands that are interfaced. How do you know which one goes which way? This makes it easy. And I purposely do this with, here's the front. I open this up. This is my back. So therefore, if I was on that side of the camera, I would be looking at this, and this would be my right hand side. I know that this arrow is the part that extends past that edge. And it might be where people are getting confused, because this does extend further. They're used to it lining up with the zipper. This one does not line up with the zipper. You want that notch in the collar to be center front. And it's just a matter of pinning it together, following directions. And the directions say that you want, I'd have to look at the directions, whether it's a 1/4 inch past the zipper. This is so you can stitch it later on. If this doesn't fit this way, you may have shrunk it, you may have cut it wrong, or you may not have stretched it. Sometimes when you put the interfacing on the collar stand, especially with some certain lycras, it shrinks them. And so it's okay if you need to just give a little bit of stretch. The interfacing will handle it. It's not a big deal. And that might give you a better look. But I want another thing to notice is that you have the wrong side of the fabric up. You also have the wrong side, or the inside, of the collar stand up. You're going to think this is all wrong. Trust the system. It's okay. This is the same piece. But now I got it stitched on. And now I turn it up. Again, you're going to panic and think that's wrong. Nope, this is good. We're right. We're okay. But one thing I would like you to take a look at is match up your shoulder seams and see where the notch for the center front is. Now, you may have lined up your line for the center front, but it doesn't mean your notch is in the right place. And quite often I've found that I didn't cut this accurately. So this is my double check. Instead of thinking I did something wrong when my collar comes off lopsided, I do this check. Shoulder seams together, make sure center front's the center front, and make sure that that curve, that V-neck, is actually in the center. And I will go ahead and trim it, because I have had some that I folded and that V is actually way over here. Now, obviously I did something wrong if it was over there, but it's easy to fix. Just make a little curve and you're good. The next step, go ahead and finish off your collar pieces. Interface them, stitch them, turn them, and top stitch them. So they're good to go. The instructions say for you to take the loose stand and attach the collars. It also tells you to stitch 1/8 of an inch. This 1/8 of an inch right here is simply to hold the collar to the collar stand, so when you're working with it for the next step, it doesn't slip down. And then it's so frustrating if this slides down, because this is 1/8 of an inch and the seam allowance is 1/4 inch, so you're never going to see that stitching. I start where the zipper should be and work forward. Your collar should be equal distance from the V. Now if you look at this V, it's not quite square, so I really should trim that up before I go to the next step. But that is this is how the instructions say to do it. I have a preferred way, of course. I am a very visual person. Therefore, I'm going to take my collar. Remember that we turned that collar stand up, but we're still working on the inside. And I'm going to make sure that the butt of my collar lines up where I want it to. And then I'm going to stitch at the 1/8 of an inch. It's the same idea as this, other than it's already attached to your shirt. In the instructions, those collar pieces wouldn't be there, and then you would go ahead and put this on like that. This one is a little easier, I think, because it's already down. You already know it's going to line up with your zipper where you want it to, and it's good to go. Still working from the inside. You can see that this is sandwiched. We've turned the collar stand up. We've applied our collar. Now we have the other collar stand. And at this point, trim your corners. I didn't trim my corners, so shame on me. And turn it right side out. You are now working on the outside or front side of your shirt. Okay, it's starting to look like a collar and collar stand. And all I'm doing is finger pressing this at this point. Gently ironing this will help. You want to iron this seam up into the neck edge, and then you're going to turn this edge under so that it matches that prior stitching seam. The idea is to stitch over that previous seam. And by doing this from the right side of the shirt, you get the top stitching that's completely neat. So if you miss the back side a little bit, nobody's going to care. This just turns in and up and over, and you stitch it just like you would the rest of it. And then the finished product looks like this. You've stitched on the outside, you've top stitched it around. You've got your extra piece there like you're supposed to have. On the inside, you see I wasn't very straight. So I missed it here, got it there, missed it there, got it there. So this is not going to affect the wearing of it. But can you imagine that on the outside instead of looking like this? So this is why it was done this way. Then you just turn your collar down like it's supposed to go. Tack it down, add your Velcro, and finish off your shirt. And this can be done at any stage. It was just done at this stage so there wasn't a lot of fabric hanging out, getting in my way.